Well, we were, Red and I, we were a little bit late coming in, and we always said about Middle Ways down there on the right-hand side. So anyway, we were singing and all, and they were going to sing the offertory. We were singing the offertory hymn, and we were fixing to sing the last stanza, and we always stood on that one. Had we been standing, he would have gotten all of us. And but for some reason, we didn't stand on that one, and he started shooting, and then I think maybe I must have been pretty close to the first ones, not the first, but pretty close of being shot, because I told my husband, I said, I've been shot. And of course our shoulders almost met because we were sitting next to each other. And he turned around, and then he was gone. And then I was shot again in the back. And really and truly, that's all I remember, because it knocked me down in the floor, and I didn't know anything.
What did Red do when he got up?
He went to the back. I saw him, he got up and he turned and went toward the back where the shooter was. And then, you know, I was hit, so I was knocked down between the pews, so I didn't know anything else. And then
what were you told after the fact that he did?
That he did?
Yeah. What did the people tell you Red did after you passed out?
Oh, when I told him that I'd been shot, well, you know, he jumped up and went to the back. He never knew I was shot again, because he was on his way to the back, and because he had just gotten up and gone toward the back, and I don't remember him just one or two steps, you know, back. I remember him looking at me, and he took off, so.
What did the people tell you he did? Like, did he tackle the guy, or what?
Oh yeah, he bear hugged him, and he wrestled him out in the church, and King just kept shooting him. He shot him 4 times in the heart, and Red wouldn't turn him loose. He just kept holding on to him, and he got him out on the steps of the church. And he had shot him in the heart 4 times.
So he probably died within a minute.
Yeah, oh yeah. And he probably was already dead and was just hanging on, but he got him out, and Kenneth was right behind him, and he was only shot 1 time. And so.
You say people weren't surprised that Red and Kenneth went after him, and why is that?
Oh, because that's just the kind of people they were. They helped, they did whatever needed to be done for anyone, and you know, if anybody had car trouble or a flat or just any way they could help them, they would help them, and just we rented a pasture. We had cattle, so we rented elderly ladies a pasture, and so Red, but he would always change her light bulbs, or he would read her light meter, and you know, just little things like that, and he told her she was so thankful that he did that, and he said, well, I just hope that someone is doing this for my mother. And that was just the kind of person he was. I mean, he'd help anybody. And
So what do you think the actions of Red and Kenneth, what do you think their actions did that day?
it saved a lot of lives. And neither one of them, they didn't even give it a thought. They just did it. I mean, their instincts, they just, and I think that was in God's plan. Or, someone said, well, if your God is so good, why did he let that happen? And I said, well, the devil walked in and God took over.
Well, do you think maybe it was God's intervention that everybody wasn't standing when you normally should have been?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was not meant for everybody to be killed that day. And I think that, I think it worked out exactly the way God had it planned. I don't mean that God intends to hurt people, but
How have you seen the hand of God all these years through all this ordeal?
well, he has taken care of me. I mean, he's always seen, if anything were to come up, well, you know, he's always seen that it's been worked out. I've had several things wrong with me, and people don't understand how, and keep going, and but it's not me that's doing it. I mean, I just try to live a good life, and
How did the tragedy ever test your faith?
well, I guess I never really did just sit down and dwell on why me. And I guess why I didn't was because why should I think I was any better than anyone else that had lost their husbands or their wives or their children? And until you walk in someone else's shoes, you don't know what it's like. So, and I never did really you know, I never really doubted what happened or anything, because I knew that it had to be in the plan. And I knew that God would take care of me.
What happened with the church? How did the church go on after all this? Fall apart, pull together?
Oh, no. Like I had told them before, something good always comes out of something bad. And sometimes we have to have that to get ourselves on the right track. And it made our church stronger. It brought all of us together, and it just, there was a lot of good came out of it.
Do you still think about it a lot, or do you rarely think about it?
Oh, I think every day. Every day I think about it. It's not a sad day, you know, but some days it's lonesome. And but I just get busy and going. God's been good to me. God was good to me when He didn't take my life. He just took one of us. And He left one for the girls because He could have taken both of them.
Well, now tell me about what you endured in the hospital and, how you found out about what had happened to Red and all that.
I was in the Naples hospital, and so I asked about him. When I come to, I asked about him, and of course they wouldn't tell me anything. But I knew. You know these things. I knew that he was hurt, or that he wasn't living, because or he would have been there. And I cried. I didn't cry a whole lot because I knew that I was hurt real bad, and that I had to save my energy if I was going to get well, and he was the type that he wouldn't want me to sit around and cry over. He's the type he wouldn't want me to carry him a bouquet of flowers. I mean, he just spend the money on something else. I mean, because they die and all, and so there's a lot of days that's real lonesome, and like New Year's Eve and things like that, and holidays are usually the ones that's bad, and the weekends. And I miss my church, and I miss not being able to go up, and because he was saved at that church and baptized, and he died at that church. All of that within 28 and a half years. So anyway, I had the satisfaction of knowing that he was a Christian, he was saved, and no one can do any more than he did. He did. He gave it all he had, and so I'm certainly proud of him, because there's about 365 people that are living that wouldn't be, that's grown now and has families of their own. So when I was in the hospital in Texarkana, they, of course, they wouldn't let me have company. They wouldn't let me read the paper. I couldn't talk to anyone, but my family. And I had to have someone with me all the time. And they wouldn't let me read my cards. They would let the preacher and our preacher, and then the one in Texarkana, they'd let them come in and see me.
Is it because you were so delicate they were afraid it might take you out?
Mm-hmm. And I had been there 18 days, and Dr. Duncan told me, he said, Laverne, you've got to go home. Said, you're not ready. But said, you've got to go home. Because, see, I had not been home. And he told me to go home and stay a week. And then come back to see him, and it was on a Saturday. And so I did. And when I went back on Saturday then, they had to give me 2 units of blood. And then I started getting better. But they had to irrigate my arm twice a day. They did that. I come home on July the 10th. They irrigated in the hospital. And then I got to quit the last of September. But it still had 2.5 inches.
So how was that? Was that rough that you didn't get to go to Red's funeral?
Yeah, I didn't, they couldn't even ask me anything about it. They had to pick out everything and make all the decisions. The 2 girls did.
So you never really got to say goodbye?
Mm-mm. So it's hard to, it won't ever be a closure because I didn't tell him bye. Now sometimes that gets to me. So it's, but that's just bad days. You know, when I have a bad day and all, but I had nothing to do with it. And Steve Calvin, they took a lot of pictures for me. And they always taped the service. And they taped that one, and it didn't work. It wasn't supposed to. I wasn't supposed to have it, so.
So you didn't get to hear the funeral?
Mm-mm. Mm. But I just wasn't supposed to. It would have been too hard, probably. So, and I didn't worry about it. I had my pictures in of the flowers, and I know Rena McCain told me, it said whenever she made a dish of food, well, she made 5 and carried them to every place.
Where's Red buried?
In Daingerfield.
Is there just one cemetery there?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Are you going to be buried there too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In fact, the marker already has my name. And it's Texas, the color's Texas red. And that's the same, and it's right by Gene Gandy's.
Okay. Was Red a vet?
Yeah.
Which war was he in?
He was in the Navy.
Navy?
Mm-hmm.
What year?
I don't know, because he was in service before I met him.
Oh, okay.
And, and he was a Mason.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it, see, they didn't have a service. The girl, they were so torn up and everything, and they wanted to have the service so they could get back over to the hospital to see me, and but anyway,
Did you ever consider remarrying?
No, I've never dated. I've never dated. I've never wanted to. I like mixed company. I don't want to pair off. I like to talk to men and to women too. I have no desire. And I said, when you've had the best, there's no way to go but down. And another thing is, that was such a tragic thing until I don't think, I think it would be hard for someone to ask me for a date, or, you know, because it was such a, oh, it was horrible. So, and
How many years did it take before you could really function normally?
well, I guess about a year, when, because my back was healing and my arm was healing, and when I got better, I went back to work, and because I was better off working than, and so, but anyway, like I said, God's been good to me, because I've had several different things, and I've always, He's brought me through. So,
Okay.
so
Well, I thank you very